Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's nice to see you all again. Yet again, I'm here filming the compilation video of all of today's updates. As I've said before, I don't know if you guys do thoroughly enjoy these videos. If you do, please let me know by leaving a like and subscribing. The intention is I'm going to be showing you and essentially compiling all of the videos that I have filmed today in one nice place, as I have been doing recently. The videos seem to do relatively well, so I think or figured out continue to make them. Again, leave me a comment if you do enjoy them. This is simply going to include the intros and the outros to all of the videos that I filmed. Again, it's just going to be a full update of every single episode. The intention here is that, again, it allows you to have all of your updates in one place. At the same time, it may help you to also be alerted to certain stocks or cryptos that you may not have been aware of. So if you do gain value from it, again, let me know. Thank you so much for watching this one, and I hope you enjoy the upcoming video. Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be looking at TTD stock. You can see the trend here. This stock recently has just fallen off of a cliff. We're going to be looking at all of the latest levels to pay attention to. I'll also be giving you some of my personal thoughts and opinions going into this next week. If it does sound like a good watch, guys, please do make sure to leave a like on it and subscribe. But I must also say I am not a financial advisor, and this is certainly not financial advice. Now I want to come over here and actually draw in the trend. You can see this on the 5-day very much. You can see from the highs to the lows, we're seeing the stock drop by over 13%, and of course that takes us to where we are now. In the past month, it's really starting to show, coming up to the 9th really of September, since the 14th of August, the stock was up slightly, but then you see this massive drop, and obviously things are playing out since. Now the most interesting part about this, and something to absolutely consider going into this next week, is this does take us up to, or perhaps back to, previous levels of support to watch out for. And we've seen a similar trend to some degree in this stock's past, where you've seen a massive drop off a cliff. And again, I can't say this is going to happen with any degree of certainty, but we are obviously seeing this level here, we're going to call it between 45 and maybe 44.50, is working as a support. What do you notice with this stock when we come into the Friday session, into the late Thursday session as well? Yeah, we're still seeing that downwards momentum, but really it's slowing quite a bit. And this is going to be something absolutely critical to consider going into the next week. Now, I'm not really going to particularly point out levels of resistance because, of course, we are dropping off of a cliff. You could easily note though levels like 46.85, 46.90 into 47.50, anywhere in that range. Then you're looking at potential pushes to 49.50, right? But at the moment it's simply about establishing this level of support. Now you could argue that Friday was to some degree a little bit of a consolidation day, which is obviously somewhat of a good sign. However, we do still have some way to go, and especially with downwards momentum increasing into Friday's trading day. We're seeing the stock now come out of this oversold range, which is good, coming up more to slightly more normal levels. It's going to be very much about seeing whether these are able to hold. So a lot to play for here. Again, a level that has historically held up. It's going to be about seeing if this level does. So what would I be doing with this stock into the next few days? Well, me personally, I'd be watching it. I'd be watching to see if we do find these levels again remain as a support. If we do, could be in for an interesting story to the upside. If not, then I think the potential to the downside could be quite a lot, right? I do think that there is a possibility this is going to hold up, but again, time will tell. These are just the levels that I'm looking for. I'll leave you guys to make your own opinions. Thank you so much for watching this short video. If you enjoyed it, as always, please do leave a like on it and subscribe. It helps me out a lot, and I do hope I'll see you again soon. Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. We've got a brief update for you here on ORBS stock. We have seen this stock, of course, on Friday moving up by 7.72%, and with a lot of volatility here for reasons which many of you may know, we have a lot to discuss. I'll be sharing with you some of the latest news, giving a little bit of my opinion, and of course potentially making a bit of a look as to what may happen in the upcoming week. If it does sound like a good watch, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe. It does help me out a lot. At the same time, as always, remember, this is not financial advice, and I certainly am not a financial advisor. Jumping straight into the video though, you can see this stock having a lot of volatility, and of course this comes after recent news. This article was published very recently. You can see here it speaks about 8 co-holdings announced in the Nasdaq, ticker symbol change to ORBS. And again, breaking down this article a little bit more, 8 co-holdings formerly traded under a different symbol has now announced its new ticker symbol, ORBS, effective from the 11th of September. This change follows significant $270 million private investment private placement, I should say, led by MOZAYX, or as you can see here, right, with participation from notable investors, including the World Foundation and a $20 million investment from Bitmine Immersion, a company which we look at quite often. The company has also notably appointed Dan Ives, a renowned technology and AI expert, as chairman of the board. The company's focus is on world proprietary iris scanning orb technology, designed to provide proof of human verification without storing personal data on the blockchain. This technology aims to establish a foundation for trusted digital identity and next generation online verification systems. So quite a lot to note here. If we're looking a little bit at the positives and negatives, we can see they've secured substantial $270 million in private placement from prestigious institutional investors. They've got a strategic appointment of the renowned AI expert Dan Ives as a chairman, and we also see development of proprietary iris scanning technology alongside partnership with multiple established financial institutions and investment firms. Negatives could include shares issued in private placement may cause potential dilution. Securities are restricted from trading due to private placement regulations. We also see significant regulatory compliance requirements for registration of securities. So that's just the latest in the news. Briefly looking at the stock price, which is obviously at this moment going to be difficult because again you're looking at really movement even coming into this one from the 5th, which is obviously not that long ago. We are still seeing this downwards momentum. However, you've got to ask the question of where the bottom comes in. We are finding levels lower than 1483, but towards the Friday session it does appear that is the low of the day. Is there a possibility that we could drop lower than that? Yes. Would I be buying this stock now? Personally, not really. There is that possibility that you do see this one run up, but I'd like to see a little bit more confirmation of that potential here. I think either way, this is going to be a rocky period for this stock into the next couple of days at least. Not necessarily a bad thing. Some people may see this as a perfect opportunity. I think there may be some potential here, in the mid to long term. But I think it's going to come with volatility in the ultimate short term, and that's something that absolutely must be factored in my opinion. At the same time, I am not a financial advisor, so of course that's up to you to make your minds up on, but I just wanted to share this news with you. Thank you so much for your time, guys. I appreciate you joining me, and I hope I'll see you again soon. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be making a little update video on Tesla stock, which on Friday saw gains of 7.36%. Very impressive to say the least. The question on a lot of people's minds is, where do we go next with Tesla? Well, over the course of this relatively short video, I'll give you some of my personal thoughts and opinions. Do remember though, this is not financial advice and I am not a financial advisor. However, if you enjoy these videos, please feel free to leave a like on it and subscribe. It does help me out a lot. Anyway, we'll start off and jump straight in here. What stands out to me is how we are breaking out of critical levels that we have seen difficulty at in the past. You're looking at 364, 365, levels that we are obviously now breaking past. It does appear to be a very interesting period for Tesla stock, with people now believing the price could go into the 400s, which is entirely possible, right, because we're not very far from it, but even into the 450s and beyond that. Now, in terms of what I am looking for here, a few things to note. Momentum continuing into the late part of Friday. We are struggling though to break above levels at 495.50, so a push anywhere above there would be a significant move into next week. At the same time, this massive growth that we have seen has taken us up to very much overbought on the RSI, so that could be something to consider. You could be, if you're looking for this technical indicator, looking for somewhat of a potential downtrend. Now, if we are able to see an uptrend, of course, anything above 495 and 496 even would be a very significant thing. A lot of difficulty specifically on Friday, pushing past 496, so that is another key level to watch out for too. Towards the downside, if we are to break down to there, what are we looking at? Well, you've got a potential of 387. That would be a very strong level to hit actually with this stock. Beyond that, you could be looking even lower than that. Previous levels that we have seen close to this would indicate things like 359. We could be looking even lower than that if we are to drop, which could take us all the way down to something like 346, but 359 in itself would be a strong level. What I would ideally like to see is a new level of support being crafted out, perhaps something like 380. 380 is obviously a significant point for a number of reasons. It's a round number, it's going to psychologically be a good thing, but at the same time it is still significantly higher than where we are before, or where we were before. It would create a new level where we have found a lot of support, where we have seen a lot of growth still, and also where we are allowing the indicators, the RSI for example, to cool off quite a bit. Levels to watch out for in this week, guys. Again, you can drop me your opinions in the comments on what you think may happen. This is just my personal views. If you enjoyed this short video, please make sure to let me know by leaving a like and subscribing. It would help me out so much. Thank you for your time, and I hope I'll see you again soon. Goodbye. Hello everybody, welcome back. Let's have a look today at Nbis stock, a company which on Friday we have seen up by 1.37%. It doesn't seem too significant until you zoom out to the 5-day chart, where you can see the stock in the past 5 days is actually up by over 40%. Really impressive, especially in the context of the past 6 months or so, where since May this one has really been climbing. If you look from even early May, if not early April, you can see this stock is up well in excess of 280%. Very impressive to say the least, with the question on most people's minds now being, where can we go from here? Well, over the course of this short video, I will be giving you all of my personal thoughts and opinions on what we are seeing and what may come next. If it does sound good, please do make sure to leave a like and subscribe, it helps me out a lot. At the same time though, remember, this is not financial advice and I am not a financial advisor. Jumping straight in, what stands out to you here? Well, obviously we are up big. However, despite these massive gains that we are seeing, the stock is able to somewhat find a support, it would appear. We're holding on very nicely to levels at 86, maybe even 85 over here. You're seeing those hold up very, very much. Again, you see this in the early part of the day on the 9th and coming into the 10th and 12th even, you are seeing these levels being retested, ultimately sticking around 86.60, which is great, and having that bounce up. Now, towards the late part of the day on Friday, we see increased momentum towards the upside, which does indicate that the strength is still there. Now, I think this drop, since obviously the highs that we have seen, which were well in excess of $90, $95, is actually a good thing. We needed this drop, because if you have a look now what happened, well, we see a number of the indicators, such as the RSI, really beginning to cool off, which is of course bringing us back down to more normal levels, actually coming slightly more towards the oversold range, however definitely still within the remit of normal. So, what I'm saying here is, it looks like things are now lining up very, very nicely. You know, we've had that time for the indicators to obviously cool off. We are seeing that support range very crucially holding up. We're going to want to see that hold into the next week as well. Ideally not dropping any below 86 would be perfect. If we can hold on to those levels, you are looking for a potential push up. Now, in terms of upside potential that we're looking for, well, we're having a lot of difficulty even getting above where we are right now. This level at 90.50, we're going to call it, is working as a little bit of a resistance level and very much even working as a support at points in the past, right? 90.50 coming into 91, a lot of difficulty breaking above that. That previously has been a support, as you can see, now working as a resistance. Breaking into 91 and ultimately onto 92 would be a crucial level to watch out for on this stock in the next week or so. We'll see if that actually holds up though. Then we could be pushing towards 93 and obviously beyond there. It's all to play for in the next couple of days. However, what is going to be most crucial is ideally holding that support and potentially pushing on for higher levels. So depending on if that actually holds up, we'll see what happens. Again, you guys drop me your thoughts in the comments down below, it would be appreciated. And as time goes on, I will give you more update videos depending on how things do play out. Let me know in the comments, guys. Thank you. If you watch a video and you enjoyed it, again, make sure to subscribe. And I do hope I'll see you again. Goodbye for now. Okay guys, so welcome to a quick update here on XRP. XRP is something here with a lot of potential in my opinion. And we've got to ask the question right now, what is coming, what is going on, and where are we looking to next for XRP? Now today, so far is a red day, down by 2.5% at the time of filming. Most notably though, it does appear at the time that we are holding onto these levels that we have seen previously. These levels around $3 do appear to be holding up quite nicely. The question though becomes, where do we go from here? Is there any more upside potential, and what are we looking at? A lot of people have some really big expectations for XRP, and I honestly do in the mid to long term see why. You know, the question is though, for the short term, well, what are we going to be looking at? What can we expect perhaps in the next 5 days, in the next 2 or 3 days even? And that is of course the intention to clear up over the course of these short videos. If you do enjoy them guys, I must say, before we do jump in fully, please leave a like like, please do subscribe. At the same time, remember, as always, this is not financial advice, and I am not a financial advisor. But yeah, if you do like these sorts of videos, leaving a like, it lets me know it, and of course subscribing does also help. So yeah, let's jump straight in. I think here that the potential is huge, and again, a lot of people calling for big pushes, big momentum here. Now, in the context, we are really looking at this drop, and again, we are coming back from it. It doesn't really seem that big, again, given the broader context. Let's find a more clear chart, right, where we can see things on the more long-term time frame. As you can see here, yeah, we are coming back from this a little bit. However, I think the story, though, is more of a long-term one. Given the recent rises that we have seen in price, this is not that bad. We are still remaining way above support levels around about 290 that we have seen before, and this is going to be the most crucial level, or these are going to be the most crucial levels to watch out for. Levels way below where we are right now. Now, ideally, we're going to be holding on to support around $3. This would be absolutely fantastic. And I think if we are able to do that, that does still show a lot of strength here, which again, long-term there is. But you've got to ask now, if we do and are able to maintain levels of support well in excess of 290, 295 even, what are we looking at? Are we looking at the beginning of a trend change? Are we looking at the beginning of further upside? We know that we've been moving up for a while now, right? But you're looking here from the 13th into today, and you can see we are seeing that little bit of downwards momentum. If you look here since, let's call it, you could call it even the 12th. The price is generally remaining quite flat. That's not a bad thing, but we're looking to see more upside. The question is, when does this come back in? Well, there's a few levels to watch out for. Like I say, those are really the downside levels that I personally am paying attention to. Ideally seeing this one hold above 294. Even if we were to drop down to there, that's not too concerning. If we can remain at 3, that's fantastic. And towards the upside, I think the next levels that we're looking to are 305, 306, 37. As you can see, this has been previous levels of resistance back here too. Towards the upside past that, you're looking to get to 310. Quite a way off where we are right now, but certainly not impossible. Before we go on to retest highs at 312 and ultimately onto 320 if we are able to break it to that range. Now, what's also interesting to note is that after this recent sell-off that we are seeing, we are now seeing XRP coming into the oversold range here on the RSI, as you can very clearly see down here. So this in itself could be something to pay attention to. Like I say, you're very much going to be touching onto a critical level of support here, so whether that does hold or not is going to be something to pay a lot of attention to. Even if it doesn't, though, like I say, you have got that lower level slightly below at 294, which in itself would not be too concerning, in my opinion. So a lot to play for here. It's all going to come out in the next day or so. As you guys will probably know, as I've mentioned it before, I do think mid to long term there is a lot of strength here. And you've got to ask what's going to happen in the short term. Well, with indicators now coming very much into the oversold range, or touching on it at least, there's a lot to play for in the next few days. As I say, I'll be keeping you updated on all of my personal opinions going forwards, but those are some of the key levels that I personally am looking to in the next couple of days, and even the next few hours. You can let me know what you think is going to happen or what levels you are paying attention to. I'd love to hear it in the comments, guys. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope I'll see you in a future update video again too. Goodbye. Hello everybody, it's nice to have you back here. We're going to be looking today at Smci stock, that is of course Super Micro Computer. This is a stock with a lot of news to speak about over the last few days, over the last few hours, and a lot to look forward to into the next day or so. You can see on Friday the stock is up by 2.3%. Over the past 5 days now, we're actually up by nearly 10%. And coming into the past month now, you've seen this very interesting trend, ultimately down, but coming from maybe the 8th, you can see that trend is a lot stronger. So the question then becomes, where do we go from here? Well, we'll be talking about all of that over the course of this video. Like I say, I've also got some news to share with you, so you're going to want to watch it all the way through until the end. If it does sound like a good watch, please do make sure to leave a like on the video. Please make sure to subscribe. It does help me out a lot. At the same time, I'd like you to remember this is not financial advice, and I am not a financial advisor. Jumping straight in now, let's start off by looking at some of the news. I'm going to come over to talk about some recent share buys. Let's get past these ads, as always. So, Rowland Miller and Partners have acquired 5,688 shares of SMCI. We can see this as an article. Let's cross this off. That was written, I believe today, yeah, September the 14th. And you can see, so Rowland Miller and Partners They've increased their holdings in Smci by 6.7%, acquiring an additional 5.6 thousand shares, bringing the total to 91.2 thousand shares, valued at approximately 4.47 million. So several institutional investors, including Vanguard Group and Price T. Rowe Associates, have also boosted their positions in the company, with institutional ownership now at 84.06% of the company's stock. Quite impressive. Supermicro reported 0.41, that's 41-cent earnings per share last quarter, missing analyst expectations, whilst the company's revenue has reached 5.76 billion, marking an 8.5% increase year over year. We also have more news coming from another business, which is 6.1 thousand shares of the same company, acquired by McAllister Sweet and Associates, also being written today. Again, let's cross this off. You can see the news here. So McAllister Sweet and Associates have acquired 6.1 thousand shares of Supermicro, valued at approximately $299,000, making it the fund's 23rd largest position. The company, as just mentioned, has reported those earnings per share, and again, we are now seeing insider transactions like SVP George Cow and CFO David E. Welgund selling a combined total of 65,000 shares, reflecting a significant reduction in their ownership stakes. So a lot in terms of buying and selling that we have obviously to speak on over the past couple of days. Many could argue this is a good thing, however I just wanted to bring it to your attention either way. Going off of that, going forwards onto looking at the share price, again, institutions clearly think big of this one, but what are we looking for in the next week? Well, of course, towards the upside, we're trying to break above key levels that we're seeing difficulty at. We just weren't able to maintain that growth above $46, but ideally, we're initially looking to break out above and remain above this channel where we are struggling at. This is 44.90 towards the upside. Yes, we have recently been above that. We are currently at 45, but it's less about getting above there, as you can see with some of these big green or even red candle wicks, right? It's less about getting above there and more about remaining above there. So a break into 45 with consistency would be great. Finding a support above 45 would be ideal for this upcoming week. So that's something that we have to potentially look towards. Towards the downside, you could be looking for pushes if we do go that way, which could take us all the way down to 43.70, 43.80 even. Again, you're finding levels of support there in the past. It would make sense if there was downside momentum to see that. Same time, we are seeing indicators now moving towards the overbought range. We have slightly cooled off from actually being overbought on the RSI, now coming slightly towards the higher side of things, yes, but not technically even in the overbought range, but not far off it. So there is that to consider as well. Again, a lot of difficulty with this stock breaking above 45 and remaining above it. So if there is an upside potential this week, I'm looking for a push above there. I'm looking to remain above there with a lot of consistency. And towards the downside, if those levels can hold up, like I say, potentially around 43.70, that in itself would indicate quite a lot of strength in my opinion. So obviously quite a lot to play for in the next few days. We will see how things ultimately go. I think there is a lot of promise here, and again, we'll see if that actually does come true. So you'll have to let me know your thoughts and opinions on this one in the comments. It would be appreciated, and if you did enjoy this quick video, please make sure to subscribe to let me know. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope I'll see you again soon. Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Let's have a look today at Sound stock. Now if you have a look over here on the Friday session, we are seeing Sound drop by a further 3.16%. Coming over here to the 5-day chart, you are going to be seeing this stock dropping by 3.02%, and over the past month you are seeing a downtrend now of 14%. If there is something positive here since about the 27th all the way up to now, we've seen the stock actually gain by 18%, which begs the question, especially when looking at the 6-month trend, where do we go from here? Well, over the course of this short video, I'll be giving you all of my personal thoughts and opinions on what we are seeing. If it sounds good, please do make sure to leave a like and subscribe, it does help me out a lot. Anyway, with that being said, we might as well jump straight in. Coming over here and looking at how things are moving, there are a few positives to take away from this week. Number one is it does appear to be the case that we are establishing a new range of support here, which you could call roughly around $14. That is good. If we can see the stock hold above $14 this upcoming week, I think that does show a lot of strength. If not though, well, what are we looking at? We could be looking for a push down to 13.50, 13.55. These levels have held up way back here in the past, and actually have worked as a little bit of resistance at points too. Seeing these levels hold up could indicate a very strong potential for an uptrend, and even if we were to drop down, as I say, to that 1350 range, that still wouldn't be the most concerning thing in the world, especially given the growth that we have seen in the last 14 days or so. Now, if we are to break to the upside, which is entirely possible, especially with indicators like the RSI still being in a relatively neutral space, there is every potential then that we could push up to other key levels. Breaking initially out of 1450 is going to be a challenge. We can see this over here, we're having difficulty just getting past this stage. You see that in the late part of the Friday session, and even to the Wednesday and Thursday sessions as well. If we are able to break above that, you could be looking for an initial push, which could take us up to 1480, 1485, and past that you're looking up to $15 and beyond. Now, if we're able to break up to that, you're looking for potential pushes, which could take us up to levels of previous support at 1560, which could now work as a resistance depending on the circumstances. If we do see that actually happen, I think we are in a very strong position. But right now, at the moment, especially given this small gain that we have seen, or actually quite large gain really, from $12 all the way up to the highs, it's about establishing a new support. If we can establish a support, roughly, let's call it 1390, 1350 even, that isn't the worst thing in the world. We're looking for some consolidation into this next week for the potential push. I think it absolutely is possible. These are simply just some of the numbers I am looking to. If you enjoyed this quick video, make sure to give me a like and subscribe, it does help a lot, and I hope I'll see you again in a future update. Thank you so much for your time. Again, see you soon. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Let's have a look here at Big Bear AI stock. You're seeing Big Bear AI stock in the past month moving down by 13%. However, if you look on the Friday session, we saw a bit of green action coming in. If we can go over here, you will very clearly see up by 3.9%. The past 5 days here is up by 1.6%, finding bottoms, as we can see, in the mid $6 range. The question now is becoming, where do we go from here? And what can we expect going forwards into the next week? Is the trend finally over? Well, over the course of this video, we'll be talking about all of that and much more. If it sounds like a good watch, please do make sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe. It would help me out a lot. At the same time, remember, I'm not a financial advisor, and this is certainly not financial advice. With that being said though, let's jump straight in and get to the good stuff. So, coming over here looking at the chart in a bit more detail, well, what stands out? It does appear to be the case that the bottom may now be in. We have hit levels at 366. Even better than that though, we do have a stronger level of support to watch out for, which is roughly at 475. Did I say 3 there? I meant 466 if I did say 3. But yeah, 475 does now appear to be holding up. We've seen this level in the past as well. So if we were to drop this week, the lowest that I'd want to see this one absolutely is 475. However, what I think is becoming increasingly more realistic is that we are going to cling on to higher levels of support, which we now appear to be looking at. Even higher than that, you've got strength at levels like 485, as you can see here and back here as well. However, even higher than that, you could be looking to find strength, as we have done this, or last week I should say now, in the ranges around $5, with $5 itself being a key level to watch out for. Now, interestingly enough, up to this point, we've really seen $5 holding up, occasionally as a support like back here, but more so as a level of resistance. Resistance was around $5 here, resistance here, and resistance here too. The fact that we're able to push above $5 itself is a significant move. Every single time that we've tried to touch this, as you can see way back here, and even here as well, we may have got above it for a small period of time, but for the majority part, just a lot of difficulty remaining above that mark. Whilst this week we have done it, which does signify a potential trend change, which does signify a very key breakthrough either way, no matter how you want to see it. It's now about seeing where we can go from here. Now, I think we are coming up to key levels of resistance even higher than where we are now, and the charts would indicate this too. I think the next level that we're struggling to get above is going to be 520. 520 is very clearly being difficult to us on Friday, both here and here too, and it's been difficult to us way back in the past around here. So pushing to and above 520 is going to be a key level to watch. Levels of support, as I say, you'd like to see them hold up around $5. I think they are mainly the key levels that I'm looking for this week. However, I do think we're starting to find a nice channel here. The question just becomes, Do you think this is a start of a potential uptrend? Well, I think it absolutely could be. I think we're now pushing above that $5 mark. I think if we are able to consolidate and remain above that this week, we are in what could be the beginning stages of a very interesting trend for this stock. Again, time will tell, but I do have a lot of hope for this one here. I think the next week or so could be a very, very strong period. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on it in the comments, so please do drop some for me. Again, do subscribe if you enjoy these sorts of updates, and of course I'll be back with you at some point in the near future. Thank you for your time so much, guys, and I hope I'll see you again. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're looking at MicroStrategy stock, which we have seen on Friday rise by a further 1.66%. This is actually quite impressive given the past 5-day trend, which is neutral. That may not seem like too much of a significant piece of news, but we're looking at a stock which has been declining now for the past month, down by 11%, and this really becomes apparent on the 6-month chart. Just have a look here from mid-July all the way to where we are now, a drop of 25%. With the question in a lot of people's minds now being, where do we go from here? And is this potentially a bottom for the stock? Currently sat at 331, we have seen levels around this point previously, and we'll discuss all of that over the course of this video. If you do enjoy hearing my thoughts and opinions on these types of stocks, make sure to leave a like on the video, do subscribe, it helps me out a lot. As always though, remember, I'm not a financial advisor, and this is not financial advice. Jumping straight in now, let's have a look at the more technical chart, where you can see exactly what I'm talking about. So you're seeing MicroStrategy stock, dropping down to levels such as 318. However, it does appear that we are finding a support range, which is closer to, we're going to call it 320, right? We're bouncing off of this level a good few times. Now the good news is, since bouncing off of this way back on the 10th, not too long ago really, but it does appear to be the case that we are now holding above that level, with an even stronger support slightly above that around 324.50. We've seen that hold here, we've seen that hold here as well, and we've also seen that hold here. 24.50 therefore could be the new floor that we are looking at with this stock. Now this is going to matter a lot going into the next week, because we don't really want to drop below these levels. We're essentially trying to establish a support. And you could make an argument that we may already be seeing that. However, that is of course up to you to decide on, right? I think it is now beginning to look a lot more positive than it was in the last couple days and weeks. I think this is actually a good sign, and Friday's green day, even if it is only by a small amount, could potentially signify stronger things to come. Now in terms of breaking to the upside, we have broken above but are struggling to remain above levels such as 331.80. We're struggling above this towards the end part of the Friday session, as you can see. We're also struggling to get above there and stay above there on the Monday session, so obviously maintaining that into the next week and going beyond that is going to be a very crucial level to watch. If you are able to see the stock break above there, you could be looking to push to levels like 335.50, 335.70, potentially even onto the 337, 338 range from there. A breakout above this channel, most notably above levels such as 336, would signify a potential uptrend to a pattern that we've had difficulty breaking out of. Like I say, you can see almost like a head and shoulders pattern forming here. However, we're just not having the ability to break out to the upside. It does appear though that if this support does hold up, the support that we've bounced off of, and I'm going to call that roughly 329, again, you're seeing the wicks of the candles come down to there on the Friday session. You're also seeing it way back here on the session on Wednesday of, I believe, last week or the week before. If we see this hold up, that could hold up as a very nice support. Seeing that could then give us the momentum to push up and then potentially break out above this 335, 336 range. So that is one of the scenarios that we could be looking at this week. Ultimately though, I'm just trying to establish, and obviously time will tell, whether this bottom here is going to hold up. I think things here are now becoming more and more promising. It's still early days and we haven't really seen enough upwards momentum to break out of this trend. But of course, how you want to deal with that is going to very much depend on your personal strategy and your risk tolerances and the like. So that's just the levels that I'm looking to this week. You can let me know yours in the comments, so you can let me know what you think is going to come. Thank you for watching the video, and I hope I will see you in a future one too. Goodbye for now. Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Let's have a look at GameStop. We saw this one on Friday remaining relatively neutral, up by 0.3%, not really even worth considering. However, this does actually add on to a very strong week that we've seen for the company, Where the stock is up just under 10%. You've seen the past month here now obviously really starting to change the trend. If we look to where we were on the 14th all the way over to the 4th, we were actually seeing the stock red by 2%. But coming in again into the 5th, into the 6th, and obviously into the new week, taking us up to obviously where we are now, stock has gone up significantly. This is obviously off of the back of very good news, which we have covered in previous updates. I think there is a lot of strength going into this week. I'll be talking about all of that over the course of this video. As always, if it sounds good, please do make sure to leave a like, please make sure to subscribe, it does help me out a lot. At the same time, remember, I am not a financial advisor, and this is obviously not financial advice. Again, jumping straight in now, let's come over to the more technical charts where you can see things in a bit more detail. Now obviously one thing that stands out, after seeing such a pretty flat month for the majority of August into the month of September, we were able to finally break out of this range. We kept just bouncing off of the support range, roughly about 22.25. And obviously at the high end maybe touching on to $23. We now broke out of that and we've actually been able to see a lot of this growth maintain. Initially we hit levels all the way up at 25.30 before coming back down, finding an initial support, or a low I should say, at 23.95, and actual support range more like 24.25, which is absolutely great. Now, up to the upside, key things to note, we have broken through key levels such as 24.72, levels that we've had difficulty at previously. The new thing that we're looking for is to simply establish a support. Now the good news is, it does appear that there has been in the past, and this is over the last few days, a lot of strength at the range, roughly what we're going to call 24.87. Strength here and also back here. If we can establish this as a new support into the next week, then that is obviously going to be ideal. In my opinion, that would be the ultimate best case scenario. If that doesn't happen, and even if we were down to retrace to 24.25, that would not be that bad either, especially considering the growth that we have seen. However, the strength that we saw on Friday, not necessarily that big of a gain, that is true, but we're looking at a stock which has been pushed up, a lot in the past week or so. I would consider that to be a major win. Considering that, as I say, you're looking then for potential pushes to the upside, which could take us well in excess of 25.10. We've had difficulty at this point all the way through here and also back here too. So 25.10 into 25.30 or 40, pushing past those highs, are the levels that I'm watching to the upside. Do I think there is some potential to see that this week? Yes. However, what is going to be most crucial is, more than any upside, essentially establishing where the support range is going to be with this stock. We've seen a lot of upward momentum. That is great. It's just about seeing whether we can and will lock in those gains after such an intense week this week. So all of that to come in the next week. That's my opinions on it. That is some of the key levels that I'm paying attention to. I'd like to hear your thoughts on what you're looking out for with this stock too. So do make sure to drop me a comment down below. Thank you guys. I hope I'll see you again later. Goodbye for now. On Friday, we have seen Sbet stock climbing by 8%. In the past 5 days, that trend is looking even better, up 16.5%. However, the past month here is still red by 24%. The question now becomes, after we have seen this drop really starting to end on the 5th, are we at the beginning of what could be an uptrend? We'll be talking about that and a lot more over the course of this video. I will also be giving you my thoughts and opinions on what we might see into the next week. If it does sound like a good watch, please do help me out by leaving a like on the video and subscribing to the channel. Again, it does help a lot. At the same time, remember, I am not a financial advisor, and this is definitely not financial advice. Make sure to do your own research out there. But now I've said all of the good stuff, let's jump straight in and get straight on with the video. So, like I say, the stock is generally moving down in the past month or so. As I say, you come up to about the 5th, and you can see this trend. The stock actually hit prices of around 14.50, roughly 14.45 even, before obviously bouncing back. Now at that point, we saw the stock come into an oversold range, and again, we have really found a new bottom here, which is seemingly a very good thing. The question obviously now becomes, where do we go? Well, it does appear to be the case that we are seeing a stock break above key levels such as 1730, which is absolutely ideal. And if you see, that's been a resistance level here and also here. Now you can make an argument that this is becoming to some degree a new potential for support. If we are able to say this holds as a support, that would indicate a lot of strength for the stock and would line us up very nicely for a potential higher push into even stronger levels going forwards. So we're definitely going to be watching onto that that one. In terms of the upside, the next level, a level that we are struggling at with Friday, and a level that we struggled at before, is very clearly breaking into the 1790s. Again, you're seeing difficulty here and Friday, and also difficulty way back here. If we see this one break to the upside, that could very easily see a new support level such as 1760, 1780, even something like that. We're obviously seeing this level at 1730 holding up nicely right now. But again, a push to and above that level would obviously help to indicate the trend with even more strength. Other good things to note, we are seeing the RSI actually cooling down quite a bit. Still towards the higher end of things, but certainly not in the overbought range yet, which is good. Again, you've seen this one actually be oversold up to the recent jump that we have seen, so it's nice to see things obviously starting to level back out. But yeah, this is definitely a stock which is on the radar this week, I'd say. It's a very much potentially an early sign of things to come, but if you ask me, it does very much depend on whether we can break through the 1780s, 1790s, and obviously on to potentially $18 from there. There's absolutely a lot to watch here. I think there is a lot of potential if you ask me. Again, it's about seeing it where we can find that new support. If we aren't able to find this in the $17 range, you could be looking for a push which could take us down to 1620, 1650 even potentially. I think this is still, though, a stock which is approaching the next week with a lot of strength under its belt. Things ultimately looking quite good here, very positive, with more potential growth to come. Again, it's going to be about seeing if those levels hold up, though. I think even if we were to see a little bit of a drop, ideally finding a support above 1630, I should say, things are still looking strong from there. I'd like to hear your opinions on it though, so if you do have any, please do drop them in the comments, it helps me out a lot. And again, I'd love to obviously respond to you guys, thank you, and I hope I will see you in a future update. And if you did enjoy, again, why not subscribe? See you again tomorrow. Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be looking at NIO stock. NIO in the past week has seen quite some interesting momentum. If we have a look over here on the 5-day, you will see the stock is up by almost 3%. In the past month we're seeing gains more like 40%, so things really quite impressive. From the beginning, around the 14th, all the way up to about the 26th, we saw the stock climb by 50%. However, since then we've lost a lot of those gains, down by 7. The question then becomes, where do we go into the next week? As always guys, I am not a financial advisor, and this video is not financial advice. But if you do want to hear all my thoughts and opinions on it, I'll be sharing them over the course of this video. With that being said, we might as well jump straight in and get straight to this one. So, as I say, NIO stock is quite impressive here. We've seen the stock price obviously be on the decline for some time, initially hitting highs around 675, and then coming down all the way to 557 or so. The good news is, after that share offering news, we were able to bounce back. We saw the stock essentially return to previous levels of support around 590, which is great, and now we're pushing back into the $6 range. The next level to break to the upside this week is going to be 630, a lot of difficulty here. Then you're looking for a potential push, which could take us as high as 650. That would be very good for this week. Again, if we are able to hold on to the lower side, or if we make it back down there, 590, that previous support is what we are looking to hold on to. I think this is how slim the channel is this week, like I say, 590 to the downside, and potentially 630 to the upside. That is a channel that we are looking to essentially break out of one way or the other. Now, if there was one thing that I would say, I think that the fact that NIO stock is actually remaining so strong after such a major rally, after, of course, the news of the share offering, I think it all shows major signs of potential here. And I think this is very much obvious. So I think going forwards into the next week, now we've given some time for a sell-off, which is, you would kind of expect. As I say, the stock hit highs around 660, 670 just a few months ago in mid-June or late June even. The share price was at 350. It is not bad to see a little bit of a sell-off. I think this is what we've seen here before, and actually I think this gives us the potential to see this one run up a bit more. People who don't want to hold it, people who want to take profits, obviously get the opportunity to do that. The good news is, for people who are interested, it does potentially allow them to buy the company at a cheaper price. So I think it's quite impressive. I think what we're seeing here in the short term is quite good, and I think the potential here, like I say, really could continue to run for quite some distance. However, However, it is going to be about seeing whether we can or do ultimately break out of those key ranges into the next week or so. I think there is a lot here to watch. Again, those are some of the key levels that I personally am paying attention to. I think there is a lot of potential with this stock, as we have seen in the past. So, especially now the way things are going, there's a lot of promise here for the next week, and my eyes are going to be on that slim channel, right? Looking to the downside, you could be looking at levels like 590, I should say. Towards the upside, you're looking at levels more like, 630 and levels around there. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see how this plays out. Those are some of the key levels that I am looking for. If I had to personally think what I would see as best this week, it would be to continue the uptrend. That's what we ultimately want to see, but of course time will tell whether that actually happens. So please do let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I think there is a lot of potential here if we can break past these levels. So that's what I'm going to be watching for into the next week. Again, let me know what you're paying attention to and what do you think is going to happen with NEO stock. I think we've had the sell-off now. I think we've got every potential to possibly see that recovery, and again, if that does happen, very impressive. We'll see how things go, and I'll keep you updated in the next week either way, so please do stay with me for that. Thank you, see you again. Okay guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another update here for Bmnr stock. Over the course of this video, I'll be sharing with you all of the latest news and giving you my opinions on what may happen into the next week. It's going to be a really interesting and packed video. If you enjoy these ones, please make sure to subscribe. It helps me out a lot. As always though, remember this is not financial advice and I am not a financial advisor. Now I've said that, we might as well jump straight in, and I've got this article here for us to look at today. This was published just yesterday on the 13th of September, and if you have a look at this, it speaks very much about a huge milestone for Bmnr, right? Bitmine climbs 15%. Simultaneously, the firm hits 2 million ETH milestone. So we can see here, Bitmine Immersion has extended its winning streak with a 5th consecutive day on Friday, adding 15.28% to the price, and obviously ending at 55.09. This is quite a large point, especially as the company raises its Ethereum ownership to 9.21 billion, setting sights on the WorldCoin token. In a statement, Bitmine Emergent Technologies said it was able to surpass the 2 million ETH milestone last week, bringing the total ownership to 2.07 million ETH at an average price of 4,312 apiece. So that in itself is obviously somewhat good news. We also see the firm holding 192 bitcoins and unencumbered cash of 266 million. Additionally, it's recently invested 20 million in Echo Holdings to support their later acquisition of WorldCoins as its primary treasury asset. So there you go, some good news here. And again, you see now, or you have been seeing for a while, right, the fundamentals with this company being a very interesting position. I've said this for some time. I think in the midterm, right, the fundamentals here are relatively strong. The only issue, especially after seeing these gains that we had seen, was where was the bottom, right? Where was the bottom going to come in? Now, looking into last week, it does appear to be the case very much now that the bottom is in. You're looking at prices at 39.66, 39.80 even. It looks like we are in, even stronger levels than that, holding up at 40.41. Now we're obviously breaking up to the upside, and 15% gains are quite substantial, which is absolutely great. The next question is, where do we go? Well, I think there are a few key levels to look out for here into the next week. Actually, where we are right now is going to be the next level of resistance. If you have a look in the past, we have seen difficulty at this point. I'm going to call it roughly anywhere between 54.30 and 54.50, and even 55. We have had difficulty getting past that, not just in today's trading session, but also back here, and back here as well. This appears to be a range where we have a lot of difficulty. So if we're able to break above this into the next week, it would show a lot of strength. Now, do I expect this to happen in the first couple of trading days? Not likely. It could of course happen, but even if it doesn't, I wouldn't be too concerned. I think what is entirely possible, and I'm not saying it will happen, but it might, is that we may see the stock drop a little bit. We may drop back down to previous levels of support. Strong levels that we have seen before would, for example, be around 52.50, 52.60, seeing these levels hold up here, and also here as well. If we were to drop down to those points, I wouldn't actually be too concerned. I think that would actually signify a healthy potential support, right? We're seeing these massive gains on Friday, and whilst that is good, it's about now establishing how we can run higher from that. We may have the potential of a sell-off here. I'm not saying it will happen, but it is possible, and a lot of people may see that in the wrong way. This stock is moving now in the right direction. This is very, very good. Again, it's about establishing whether this growth is going to be short-term sustainable, whether we're able to establish a support range, whether we're able to break out above these key levels of resistance, which I have highlighted in this video. I think all of that can happen. It's going to be very interesting to watch over the next week, but I'd love to hear your opinions on it in the comments, guys. Thank you so much for your time. Hope you enjoyed this quick video, and again, I'd like you to let me know your thoughts in the comments too. Guys, let's have a sum up of Opendoor stock in the past week or so. This really has been an incredible one for this company. Look at the charts here and you can see that over the past 5 days, stock is up by nearly 30%. Over the past month now, we're seeing gains of nearly 200, and over the past 6, things are even more incredible, you know. You're seeing gains nearly of 700%. The stock seems to be relentless in its move up. This is very impressive, especially given the continued upwards momentum that we have seen. So, over the course of this video, I'll be giving you all of my thoughts on everything. We'll briefly be glossing over everything that's been happening, and again I'll be giving you some of my thoughts into the next week too. If it sounds good, guys, please do make sure to leave a like on the video, please make sure to subscribe, but as always remember, I am not a financial advisor, so do your own research. Now, the first thing that stands out if you've been paying attention in the past week or so, Opendoor stock does name a lot of important news. New CEO and the bringing back of co-founders to the board. We're not really going to go into this into too much detail as we have already covered it, but essentially to sum this up very quickly, we are seeing the Chief Operating Officer of Shopify becoming the new CEO, which is in itself a very big move. Then we've got Keith Rabois and Eric Wu bringing back founder DNA to the company. These are now on the board, with Rabois being appointed the chairman. Now, Koshler Ventures and Wu have invested 40 million in PIPE financing. What this all means is that a company here, which was inevitably promising anyway, now has the skill, you could say, in terms of employees, now has the potential to obviously elevate its business even further in even the short, mid and even long term. So a lot to look forwards to. Now, in terms of looking at the actual share price, well, as I say, the share price is up nearly 700% in the past 6 months. Even in the past one, we're up nearly 200. I think the fact that we are able to see a decline of only 13% on Friday is more impressive than a lot of people even think. You know, people tend to become quite negative or see things in the wrong way when the stock starts to drop, but the reality here is, in my opinion, something quite different. A stock that's up nearly 600-700% in 6 months, the fact it's able to maintain any of this growth is actually very, very impressive. It does appear that we are beginning, or could be beginning, to find a support level around 890. We'd like to see that hold up into the rest of next week. You know, below that you could be looking at levels like 880, so if we can see these levels hold up, this would be ideal. At the same time, guys, I must say this very clearly. Even if the share price was to drop a little bit, even if we went back to $8, even if we went back to $7.50, right? That, in my opinion, would still be a major win. Now, the good thing is, this drop, it allows two things to happen. It allows us to find a new level of support, it allows us to cool off slightly, and it allows people to take profits if they want to. I think when we see stocks that go up, you know, in a straight line, they are significantly less sustainable than ones which do what Opendoor stock is. As I say, even on the 6 month, what do we see here? We see a stock which is of course moving up, but not without its struggles. For example, from the dates of the 21st of July all the way down to the 7th of August, we saw the share price dip by 30 or 40%. This is actually a good thing. It allows the growth, in my opinion, to be a lot more sustainable. So, obviously carrying that information forwards into next week, what are we looking at? Well, in my opinion, I think there's every possibility now, if we see these levels hold up for potential supports, 880 for example, I think we do have that potential to see this one run higher. I think in the mid to long term, the likelihood of this stock being potentially much higher is absolutely there. I do think there's every possibility this could be the early days. However, in terms of the short term, potential buying opportunities, I'm going to have to wait until the first 1 or 2 trading days of the next week. I want to see how this one actually plays out. Obviously, we are coming up to that lower potential level of 880, as I say. Some people could see now as a potentially good buy. Obviously, it depends very much on your strategy. If you're one of the people, like many people are, who believes that in the mid to long term, Opendoor stock is going up to 80, 82, 100, maybe it's still a good buy right now. If you're looking to get a potentially better price, there could be that argument that you may be waiting to see if this level holds up. I think that's a decision for you guys to make though, and I'll of course leave you to make that, right? These are just some of the levels that I am looking to. It's very much important that these lower levels for potential supports hold up this week. We'll see if that actually ends up being the case. Either way guys, I'll be here to update you throughout next week as well, so thank you for watching the video, and I hope I'll see you again then.